Well, as a former English teacher and, overall nerd, I wanted to share a story that touches on a very deeply held belief of my own, which is the belief that if we can connect the right story to the right student, we can create a lifelong love of reading and learning. And nothing brings that belief to life like the story I found on the New York Times website this week. This story begins with a teacher who found a way to bring connection, belonging, and the transformative power of literature alive for his students. In the heart of the Bronx, a classroom full of eager high school students had the honor of welcoming the acclaimed author of There, Tommy Orange. This wasn't just any author visit, it was the culmination of an incredible journey that began with a book and a teacher at Millennium Art Academy. There is a novel that explores the intricacies of Native American lives in contemporary Oakland, California. And it had become more than literature for the students at Millennium Art Academy. It became a mirror, reflecting their own struggles, dreams, and the complex tapestry of urban life. Rick Wimay, their teacher, orchestrated this unforgettable encounter. Rick had seen his students' lives light up through the stories they read reach out to Tommy. With an email full of raw emotion and hope, he invited the author into their world, fully believing it would never be read, but taking his own advice that he gives to his students: take a chance. He told Orange that he had changed the lives of his students. There was Tariq Kunse, 17, who drew a parallel between the Oakland Coliseum and the Roman Coliseum. Natalia Melendez, also 17, who noted that the white gun symbolized oppression of Native tribes. And then there was Dalvin Urena, 18, who said he'd never read an entire book until There, and was now comparing it to Shakespearean sonnets. He ended his email with, "Well, it's worth a shot. Thank you for taking the time to read this, if it ever finds its way to you. In appreciation and awe, Rick Wimay." And Tommy, amidst a whirlwind tour, said yes, his arrival in the Bronx classroom was a testament to the power of reaching out, of asking for what seems impossible. For the students, Tommy's presence was a validation of their experiences and a reaffirmation that their stories matter. Tommy shared his journey from a young man who felt unseen by the books he encountered to an author whose words now offered solace and understanding to others. In doing so, he mirrored back to the students their own potential, their own capacity to find and create stories that speak to the heart of human experience. And the ways that Orange's book has impacted the students at Millennium Art go beyond this one classroom. While attendance rates at Millennium Art are below the city average and 87% of students are from low-income households, in the 3 years since Orange's novel became a mainstay of the Millennium Art curriculum, pass rates for students taking advanced placement literature exams have more than doubled. Last year, 21 out of 26 students earned college credit, surpassing the state average. The majority of them, we may said, wrote about there. This kind of an impact of a teacher finding connection for their students and bringing it to life for them is what each of us hopes we can do for our students. I found this story incredibly touching, and I am definitely putting there on my reading list.
That's an unbelievable story. I mean, that stuff is always so inspiring, and it just serves as such an important lesson for teachers out there. Like, you should always write that letter to that person that you think would never have the time or inclination to visit your schools, because you are the most sympathetic audience for something like this. People love visiting schools. I remember when I was in high school, we had it was like a U.S. Representative visiting our classroom, and one of the students had asked the person, "Why, we really appreciate you coming here. I don't know how you found the time or why you would be interested in just visiting our school." And the representative said, "Can I tell you a secret? This is the best part of my job. Like,
Yeah.
like this is like, you're not putting me out by having me come visit kids. Like, coming to a school building where you're the guest of honor and a bunch of adoring kids are like walking up to you and wanting to shake your hands, and you get to see the smiling faces. Like, that's the best part of what these people get to do for a living, whether you're a representative or an author or just somebody showing up for career day." So always make the ask if you're an educator for that person, because you're going to be surprised at what your hit rate's going to be on getting them to show up to your school. really cool point there that you sort of brought in towards the end about visibility in literature, and particularly, visibility of diverse populations in literature. We often speak about why it's important for uh, diverse populations to be seen in literature, right? And certainly it's valuable for its own sake. People should be able to see themselves in the things that they read, particularly students of color. But you did mention that not only is visibility important in its own right, but if you want to see higher test scores, if you want to see students do better on the AP literature exam and things like that, your story shows that visibility for those kids makes them more interested in literature and is going to lead to better student outcomes.
There is an abundant body of research that talks about how when struggling readers, so not even AP students, but struggling readers connect with the text that they're reading and connect on a personal level with what they're reading, that they will surpass their peers in reading achievement. And that is such a tremendous foundation of how to work with struggling readers, and something that I've done most of my career. And to find, like I said at the beginning, to find a text that a child, not even a child, some of the kids in the story were 19 years old, but that one of your students can see themselves reflected in, is magic. There is no other word for it. It is the magic. It is the key that unlocks the door to learning. And it is
Yeah.
so critical. And the more that we can bring in literature where children see their experiences happening, and the more that we can bring in authors and successful people who have gone through the lives that our children are going through, and they can see that this is not just possible, this is what can happen for them, that is how we will make a huge difference for our children.
When we say visibility matters, that's not just a platitude. We're not just
No,
saying visibility matters because it will make students from, underrepresented communities happier or more well-adjusted. When we say visibility matters, we're saying it quantitatively
it
matters. It has a
quantitatively matters.
measurable
And
impact.
research shows us that a rising tide raises all ships, right? So that as we bring up any of our student populations, we will bring up the other student populations. And this is so critical. You're exactly right. Representation doesn't just matter for only socio-emotional reasons, although that's a valid reason.
Certainly.
There are additional, bottom line reasons. If you want to bottom line it, there are reasons that will impact student achievement for your entire school, your entire student population. So this was, if I'm being honest, this is a very personal story to me. I think that the success of any of our teachers is the success of all of us, right? And so to see that and to find more stories that I can share with my students that will help them feel seen and successful and know that there are other experiences like theirs, I'm really excited to share that. And so there was a quote by the teacher. I couldn't really figure out how to, to fit it into my little segment, but it was about, if you hear a story, if you love a story, share that story. And I know that's something you and I do every single week, but I would encourage everyone listening, don't just keep it to yourself. When there's something good, when there's something that unlocks the door for your students, share it.